So now that we've broken down all the different ball flights and what happens with the face and the path in reference to the target line, now let's talk about what we can look at and change or go over when it comes to now just even our setup before we try to worrying about our backswing or our downswing or making any changes when the club is moving in order to help our ball flight become more optimal. So the first thing, as we all probably know, is we want to check our alignment. Now, there's two different alignments that we want to check. First is our face, and then also our feet, right? So as you see, I have my target line that the club needs to be on, and then I have the parallel left line for my feet. A lot of times we call this what? Train tracks. That's what we want to have. So let's have an example, right? If I'm walking into the ball and the first thing I do is I'm thinking that I'm aiming at my target. However, my face is aimed slightly right. Now, already, I'm starting off where I'm thinking I'm going to my target. However, I'm going right. So what that'll do is have the ball start more right than what we want it to be. So we might have thought, oh, I might have did something within my swing. However, when it comes to setup, you already started off with the face starting to the right. Then the next thing is, so another example when it comes to our feet. Say, for example, I walk into the ball, and then my face is aligned to my target, right? However, my feet are pointed to the right of this stick here for my feet. Now, what we have is our face square to the target line, however, our feet right of it. And a lot of times, our feet will dictate the path that the club takes. So now we have our ball starting at the target line. However, our path of the club going to be more to the right because our feet aren't aligned parallel to this. So what that will produce is either one, a draw, which we didn't intend to have, or a lot of times with our brain, because of that, we're thinking that we're aimed at the target line, so I'm looking this way, however my feet are right. What will happen is we automatically pull over in order to get back to the target line, which can cause a pull or even a slice because now we have the path of the club coming over because our feet are already aligned to the right. So that's why the face alignment and our feet alignment in reference to our face is so important. So I want to give you guys one tip to help with that when it comes to just our routine. So what I like to do is when I come into the ball, the first thing I like to do is pick an intermediate target. And what that is a spot nearby the ball that matches up with the target line we have in the distance. So what I like to do is I come into the ball, right? Say this red stick here is my intermediate spot. All I'm doing before I even worry about my feet is setting up my face this way, right? And my feet are together still. Then, once I feel confident with that, then now I spread my feet apart and making sure that my feet are parallel to that target line. Now I'm confident when it comes to my alignment of my face and my feet. So I feel square, which is what we want, because what we plan to do and what's actually happening can be different. So we want to make sure of that. So hey guys, before we continue this video, I want to ask you guys a question. All the swing talk, all the mechanics talk, and just improving our technique in golf in general, what is the actual purpose? Well, we know at the end of the day is to improve our scores where? On the golf course. However, what do we need to do to improve our scores on the golf course? Well, we need to practice properly, and we need to identify our strengths and weaknesses to figure out what we need to prioritize to improve our scores the most efficient way. So, I want to give you guys something. I've recently made 2 ebooks. One, an ebook on how to apply a range game to the golf course by giving you a game to do daily on the range to help improve your performance, as well as another ebook, a statistics ebook, to help you keep track simply of your stats on the golf course, as well as to give you a detailed picture of your game so you can track the areas that you need to improve most in. So if you want to know how to improve the quality of your practice when you go to the range to apply to the golf course, and as well to have a statistics ebook completely broken down in detail to help you show what you need to work on in your game in the back of your pocket, go ahead and click that link down below. All it is just both of them are $8. So if you really want to improve your game and see your scores change past just the mechanics, go ahead and click that link below. So the next thing we're going to discuss in terms of controlling our face angle is obviously our grip. Why is it so important? Because when it comes to our grip, the hands are the only thing that's on the club. So that's going to automatically influence what the face does. So let's break down what happens when we have too weak of a grip and too strong of a grip. So first we're going to break down too weak of a grip. So too weak of a grip would be, say, where the left hand, the V in the left hand points more towards my left shoulder, and as well, the V in my right hand points more towards my left shoulder. So it'll be like this. So now, when I set up and I have too weak of a grip, where I have both V's in my hand pointing to my left shoulder, now when we take it back, you see the face open here now, right? So because of that, when we come back down, our brain already knows that this face is slightly open, so we always want to get it back to square. So in order to get it back to square, I'll either do one of two things. I'll either start to early extend to try to square the face, which stops my body turn, which can cause a hook because now we're closing the face down too much. Or what will happen is a lot of times we try to square it by getting over, which all of a sudden now the face is closed and our path is going too far to the left. So because of that, now that can produce a slice, all because of our grip. Now let's break down when we have too much of a strong grip, where say the V in my left hand is pointing too far to my right shoulder, where I have say about 4 knuckles showing here, and then as well more so the right hand more so too much on the side of the club instead of on top. So it'll be like this. Now, when we have too strong of a grip, one of two things can happen. Say if I set up here, have too strong of a grip, so in my backswing now, we have the face where it's too close, right? Then so when I come down, I either want to do one or two things. I either want to get too far underneath it to keep the face open, and a lot of times we can keep the face open. That'll result in a push, right? Because now the face is starting to the right of the target. And then another thing that can happen is when we have too strong of a grip, that wants to close the face down, so we need to increase our rotation. And a lot of times, if I have too strong of a grip and then I don't rotate enough, the face can still be too far closed, which can result in the hook as well. So that is why our grip is so important, because our hands are the only thing that's on the club, so that influence how the face moves. So what I personally like to make sure of for my personal grip is that I have about 2 or 3 knuckles showing, or for me, if I had a glove here feeling like the logo on my glove points just towards the camera. And then as well, most importantly when it comes to the right hand, is that this thumb pad here is on top of this left hand, so my hands are together. And also the right hand pointing still more towards my right shoulder. So now that is my personal grip. It's more so towards the strong side, but it's not too strong where I have this too far this way and on the side. So that is my personal grip. Everybody has a different grip in a different matchup to match their swing, but most importantly is just understanding when you find that grip that works for you, that you stick to it and always check it to make sure that you haven't deviated. So the next thing we need to check when it comes to our setup before we even take the club back and worry about how the club moves is our ball position. Now, ball position is important when it comes to trajectory, so how high or how low the ball goes, but also where the face starts and how our path is. Let's break it down. So here, I'm going to set up my club at this middle ball here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balls here, right? And if we think about it, we know the golf swing is an arc. So if the golf swing is an arc, we know when it comes to our ball position that there's also a slight arc there as well. So this is why I have these balls set up like this. So if I have my ball position in the middle, right? My face is square to my target line. Then, so let's say if I want to move my ball position back, right? So I'm gonna go to the first ball going back. If you notice, first and foremost, that will shift my path more to the right because I'm gonna swing more this way. As well as my starting face angle also starts more right. So that will induce more of a draw, right? Then, if I go to the furthest one back here, now we have it where even the face can start even further right and the path can go further right as well. So now that'll produce more so of a bigger draw or a hook, right? Now let's go on the other side. So if I'm back to my middle position, then I go to this first ball moving forward. Now, because ball position also has a slight arc, our path will be moving more to the left and our face will be starting more left. So that will induce more of that fade, right? Then, if we go even further, now we have it where our ball position is too far forward, where the face starts even further left than the last one, and as well, our path goes more left, so which can induce more of a slice. So that is why our ball position is so important, because it influences where we start, where the ball starts with the club face, and also the path if it goes too far in, into out, or too far out to in. Now, next, I'm going to give you a bonus factor that will influence your ball flight when it comes to where we hit the ball on the face. So either if we hit in the center of the face, more so on the heel, or more so on the toe of the face. What this factor is called is gear effect. What gear effect is basically whenever we don't hit the face in the center, we don't hit the ball in the center of the face, because the club head moves around this shaft, right? Whenever we don't hit it square, what happens is if we hit it on the heel, the face wants to flip over, right? And then eventually once the ball is going, then the face will open back up. So that's if the ball is hit on the heel. So what that will do is start the face more left and then eventually open it back up. Then vice versa when it comes to hitting on the toe, because since the club head moves around this shaft, is that when we hit the ball, hit it on the toe, the first thing that happens is the club now wants to open up. And then once the ball is going, then it shuts back down. So I'm going to give you 2 examples when it comes to the ball flights that we want to intend to hit and what can happen if we hit it more so on the heel or more so on the toe, and what gear effect does with that. So let's say if I'm set up here and I'm preparing myself to hit a draw. Let's narrow this a little bit. There you go. So I'm preparing myself to hit a draw where basically, again, the face starts right at the target line and the path is even further right. So that'll induce more of that draw I want, right? However, if I come into the ball and I hit the heel of the club, now what that does is, as we said before, it shuts the face down. So now my club will be starting more left. And then as well, since the face opens up after the ball gets off the face, now what that's going to do is open the face back up and have the path go more left. So then what we intending to do of hitting a draw, all of a sudden can now turn into a shot that starts left and starts to curve right. So hitting a fade ideally, just because we hit it on the heel. So then, say if I'm trying to hit a fade now, right? So let's bring this here where the face starts left and the path is even further left, right? So let's say if I want to hit this on the heel. Let's say if I want to hit a fade, sorry about that. Then, when I set up, when I'm trying to hit this fade, if I come down and I hit the toe, the opposite happens, right? So now, I hit the toe, the first thing that happens is now the face starts to open up, which starts the ball more right, and then as the ball comes off, then it closes. So now, instead of me hitting a fade that starts left, and curves back to the right. Now I have a ball that starts right, and then because the face opens, and then as it closes back down, then all of a sudden the face shuts down, and then that can create more so of a drop hook that we may see sometimes when we hit the toe. So that's why quality of contact is so important, and we want to hit the center of the face, because this club head rotates around this shaft, and that will directly influence our ball flight when it comes to the intended ball flight that we have and what actually happens. So next, I want to break down a drill you can do on the range in order to visually see these different face and path changes to produce different ball flights. So the drill I want you to do to apply on the range to help you influence your ball flight and change it is using these 3 sticks as a visual in order to do the opposite ball flight that you're having trouble with. So for example, if I'm hitting too much of a draw or too much of a hook, what I'm going to do is set up this visual aid to try to visualize the face and the path change to neutralize my ball flight. Now, in the case of if you hit too much of a draw or a hook and you set this up, it may not fade as much as you think. It may be more of a straight ball since you started on one end of the spectrum and then you're trying to come back. And eventually over time, if you keep training it, then you'll get more of that regular fade. And the opposite happens if you hit too much of a fade. We want to train our eye visually of the face and the path change to go to the other side of the spectrum. So say here, this being our target line, our face and our path, and me personally, I do have a tendency to hit too much of a draw or a hook. So I'm always working on neutralizing my path and my face by working on hitting this fade. So visually, if I set up here to the target line, and then here, as I come down, I'm visualizing the face starting here, right? The face starting more closed, and then my path going further left, then I can work on producing more of that fade. Now, with that, that's me manipulating the club path and being more aware of the face with just my own ability. Now, if you figure out that you have certain setup changes, such as the ones we went through before, either through ball position or alignment, then this will also help you. Say, for example, when it comes to ball position, since we know if we play the ball more back, that we can hit more of a draw, and we play the ball more forward, we can hit more of a fade. So in my case, if I figure out that my ball position is too far back, right, and my ball starting too far right and curving to the left, all I have to do, based off this visual as well, is play my ball position more forward. Now, what that'll do is start my face more left and get my path even further left. So then now when I come down, I can be more neutralized and then swing through without me trying to change my path or face within myself. And then I can produce more of that fade or more of that straight ball, since I have the tendency to want to produce more of a draw or a hook. So you can take 3 alignment sticks or 3 clubs, put them, so have your target, have your intended target, and then set up your face and your path. And ideally, if you're doing too much of one end, you want to exaggerate on the other. So if I'm hitting too much of a draw, then I would really want to try to influence this face and path where I have it where I'm really trying to swing further left and have the face start more left and the path even further left, so I can really produce that fade. And the opposite would be if you're producing too much of a slice and you want to hit more of a draw. So go ahead and apply this principle to visually see the face and path changes in reference to the target, and all those other principles we discussed when it comes to setup, ball position, grip, to try to influence your ball flight, to try to improve your game on the golf course. So I hope that finds you well, and have a good day today.